A few years ago, I uploaded a video about beach levels in video games. I've always thought about doing another video about winter levels, but I just never got around to it. Until today, that is. So the rules here are simple. If it has snow or mentions Christmas, then I consider it a winter level. For the most part, I'm just talking about my personal favorites, but I'll briefly mention some random levels that I find notable. I also won't be doing this video alone, so get ready to hear some voices you may recognize from the channel's past, plus some new additions. Here we have one of my personal favorite Mario Kart tracks, known as Frappe Snowland. A very pretty winter track with some sharp turns and exploding snowman. Said exploding snowman seemed to cause a lot of hatred, but I don't know, maybe just get good. And when compared to the other Mario Kart 64 winter track known as Sherbert Land, I think it's pretty clear that this is the best winter course. Like honestly, I don't understand how any of you can stand that slippery jizz pile of a map. Like if you really like that map, go fuck yourself.
Sherbet Land from Mario Kart 64 and Wii is one of my favorite tracks from those respective games. It's a pretty little track with nice music, atmosphere, and cute little penguins wandering around having fun. It's a little tricky considering it's quite slippery and there's a lot of things that can kill your momentum, however it's actually quite a fun track to drift around on once you get used to it. Sure, it can be a little annoying especially if you get bumped or knocked into an obstacle, but personally I struggle more with pronouncing the track's name than driving on it. Sherbet? 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 The fuck? Don't play this on 200cc on Wii though. Actually scratch that, just don't play 200cc on Wii.
Ooh! Dude, you see Matt?
I slid off.
Christmas Town from Kingdom Hearts 2 fucks. Okay, it may have some funky minigames and not particularly the best boss in the game, but the music along with the aesthetic alone carries this world. And the final mix edition of the game including Christmas outfits for our junior heroes was also a nice touch. The unsettling rendition of Jingle Bells being played throughout this destroyed town is definitely an interesting start to your game. And here in Holly Jolly Village, you meet the first alien creatures. Yes, disturbing as it is, there isn't really much else to say. It's just a small area where you learn the game's basics.
When you load up Nier Replicant, the first sight you're greeted with is snow falling. Wait, what? Excuse me? What do you mean it's summer? The song playing right now is actually called Snow in Summer. So how did we get here? Why exactly is it snowing in summer? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's when the sun should be out. Spoiler warning. What if I told you that really isn't snow? The snow you see is actually the remains of a giant nude mother. Inhaling any of this snow can cause you to come down with a nasty case of white chlorination syndrome. Now, what is white chlorination syndrome, you ask? Well, it's actually a bacterial disease which causes the disease to pick between one of two options. You may either submit your soul to a god from another realm, or you could just turn into salt. The choice is yours. Would you inhale some of this snow? Let us know in the comment section below. Glum signing out.
Ever wonder what it would be like if Amazon just fully took over, and the whole world just shat the bed because with time the human race became a careless throwaway society? Well, boy do I have the level for you. Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards is a game that deserves more love. Luckily for this world, World 5, aka Shiver Star, exists. Like most Kirby games ever, despite its disturbing undertones, it has some moments that are just overall pretty cute. The boss known as Bezos 9000 is pretty cool and has some neat attacks. And this area right here is probably one of my favorites in this world. And the slide sections with Waddle Dee make me Waddle Pre.
I'm pretty sure this doesn't count as a winter level, but Act 4 of Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the coolest sequences in the mainline games. Not only is it a really good example of fan service and nostalgia done right, but it's also a really cold and chilly level. The mission takes you back to Shadow Moses Island from the first game, and considering this is a Kojima game and he loves his extra details, the beginning of this act happens mostly outdoors with the wind blowing, snow falling onto the screen, frost and ice frozen over metallic surfaces, and even Snake's breath being visible in the cold. It kinda makes you want to put on a sweater and sit next to the fireplace while you play. The first boss fight is with the BMB unit Crying Wolf, a not so subtle analog to Sniper Wolf. No, not that one. And it's an incredibly intense sniper duel. The fact that all you can do is wander through the snow as it blows into your face and the wind hits your ears while trying to figure out where Crying Wolf has gone next makes this whole fight feel very isolating and uneasy. This act is definitely a huge contrast to a lot of other video game winter levels, since so many games try to depict the freezing cold as being cheery, bright, and festive, but you have to admit, for a game that came out in 2008, it still to this day captures that harsh feeling of being stuck in the middle of the cold alone, like that one time my heater unit broke down while I was going commando. Bravo, Kojima.
Arctic Antics is the first level of Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex.
Nincompoop! You've landed us in the middle of nowhere!
Yes, I am aware Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex is far from a great game, let alone a good game. And I could be talking about any of the snow levels from Crash Bandicoot 2, but nostalgia's a bitch, ain't it? Something about the first level being an ice level has always stood out to me. The actual design of the stage might not be anything special, but at the very least, it's as well designed as a level can be in this game. And the music here is also pretty great as well.
Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we'd hoped, and...
Say what you want about Call of Duty and its campaign, but if you're playing any games from the franchise that released before Call of Duty Ghosts, then expect some great fun. For Modern Warfare 2, here we have Cliffhanger. It's the third mission in the game, but despite that, it still offers some great challenge. You start off the mission infiltrating a base in the middle of a snowstorm. Your only chance of survival is to be stealthy. Using the heartbeat sensor, you will navigate the base and pick off the little chuddies until you get caught. Then the tone changes to action as you shoot your way out of the base. Then you gotta try and escape by vehicle. Oh man, I miss when Call of Duty was a well-respected series.
The primary expo point is compromised. We're en route to the backup LZ using enemy transport.
Project Zomboid is an open-world survival RPG that takes place in the zombie apocalypse. Your main objective in Project Zomboid is to try to survive as long as possible. When you first load in, you'll kill zombies, gather resources, and build a base. After a couple of in-game days, you will have leveled up a bunch of skills and will prepare for the water and power to shut off. If you have survived long enough for that to not be a struggle anymore, the only thing you'll have left to do is to travel to other cities and find more resources and build more bases. After exploring the map and building bases, you'll quickly run out of things to do, which is where the winter season comes in. Within 50 to 144 hours of playing the game, the winter will start, and if the zombies haven't already killed you, the winter will. Being underprepared for the winter is a death sentence. Gathering food and water in the winter is way more difficult. Your crops will grow a lot slower, foraging will be nearly impossible, fishing will be much harder. Gathering rain in your rain catchers will no longer work, so you'll have to travel to the nearest lake to get water. Due to it being winter, you'll constantly be cold and can even die of hypothermia or catch a cold. This is why the winter in Project Zomboid is so good. It completely changes up how you play the game and adds more of a survival aspect to a game where trying not to die from zombies is already hard enough.
If you like cock and ball torture, then you're gonna love this. The first part of this stage has frozen over tropical trees, suggesting that the snow is not part of this area's natural climate. And, well, obviously something needs to be done about that. So equip the weapon from Fireman's stage and go on a rampage. If you aren't a fan of ice physics, then you definitely won't like this stage. Iceman's stage has completely lubed up itself, and features some pretty frustrating platforming sections. And once you finally reach Iceman, just shit out some platforms and burn his ass to death to claim your victory. Alright, now on to a Mega Man game I actually like to play. So here we have Mega Man X. When you first finish the game's introduction, you are brought to the stage select screen. And I want you to ignore every stage here except Chill Penguin. This stage really doesn't have anything too crazy going on. You start off with just running your way through enemies. You got your classic Ray Bits, Axe Maxes, and Baton Bones. Yep, that's definitely what they're called. And eventually, you reach the main reason why you want to approach the stage first. Once you see the pedestal, step on it, and then Dr. Light comes out of nowhere and calls you a pussy-ass bitch, and gives X an upgrade, so now you have real movement options. And while you're dashing through the rest of the stage, of course you have many other enemies to kill, who I'm not even going to bother to name. But eventually you're going to find one of these bad boys. So after destroying some shit, next thing you know, you're already at the boss. Chill Penguin isn't too difficult to beat just with your default Lemon Blaster, so just spam that a few times while dodging his easily avoidable attacks, and then it's over before you know it.
Genshin Impact does winter and ice regions immaculately. As the midpoint between the first and second major region of the game, Dragonspine poses a significant threat to new players trying to advance their game. New players can elect to go around Dragonspine to the next region, or brave the cold in the first genuine challenge in the game. Upon entering Dragonspine for the first time, players will notice a new mechanic called Sheer Cold. Because this is a gacha game, and all of the characters you play will be half naked, none of them are properly equipped to handle the cold. As such, players will have a gauge of sheer cold continuously go up as they explore. Once the meter is full, your character will take damage until they die, or you mitigate it. The region is filled with various heat sources, such as campfires, torches, or heat pillars. Most exploration of Dragonspine at lower levels will be spent looking for your next heat source. The region forces you to think critically about the path you need to take to avoid wiping out your party from hypothermia. Additionally, the combat challenges in Dragonspine are notably some of the most challenging in the game. So, enemies will try to kill you by freezing you, or using other crowd control methods, preventing you from getting to much-needed heat sources. Many early players struggle immensely with the time trials, as you already have a low HP pool that will be affected by the lack of heat. And yes, you can accidentally extinguish your fire source during battle. Outside of cold mechanics, Dragonspine is a beautiful region, full of truly unique world design. The region gets its name by being a final resting place of a dragon named Durin, whose bones are spread throughout the region. Players spend a decent chunk of quest time exploring the dark history of the mountain and getting better loot, which is all worth the effort by the end of it. Players also have a quest line with the goal of scaling the mountain, and when you get to the top, it gives you an immense sense of achievement due to the severe challenge of navigating the terrain, but also because of the puzzles you are required to do to unlock the correct pathing. You truly feel like you're in a cold, desolate place when you enter Dragonspine, and more games should take inspiration from Genshin's snow areas. They're done very well.
New Super Mario Bros. DS is a standout title in the series, especially when compared to the other New Super Mario Bros. Games. So unfortunately, I won't be highly praising the mediocre Mario Bros. Wii. Sorry not sorry, go eat shit and die. So 5-1 has a very simple layout with lots of enemies and obstacles. Some may not be the biggest fan of the snow that slows you down, but I'd argue that this could not make the level any more fitting, on top of making the level stand out more than the others. And for those who are worried about speed, look no further than 5-3. An icy winter wonderland covered in loot with some pretty unique enemies, known as snailcorns. Snailicorn? Yeah. I don't think I could have come up with a better name for this thing, but you know what? No. I'm gonna call this little buddy Gloopy. Yeah, Gloopy.
Hello! My diaper is so full.
The first Winter Wonderland in Mario 64 definitely leaves a good impression on the player. At Cool Cool Mountain, you can jump down a cabin to race a penguin, then destroy his ego, and then you can race him again after he's let himself go. Radical. Just look at these snowmen. Look at them. You can also kill baby penguins in front of the penguin mother. Awesome! Now, hope your wall kicks will work, and you don't end up falling out of the map. I would say that's probably the only downside.
I know that Pokémon X and Y are not the best entries in the series, but one of the most charming places in those games is Snowbell City. It's a snowy town that has probably one of the most beautiful themes in a Pokémon game. The snowy city, combined with the music, has this very tranquil feeling with a sense of adventure. When you face the gym leader of Snowbell City, a man named Wolfric, the first Pokémon he brings out is an Abomasnow, a grass-ice type that also is one of the first things a player sees when entering the town for the first time. I can't say too much else about this battle because I've always gravitated to a lot of fire-type Pokemon, so this battle in an ice-type gym was pretty easy for me. On YouTube uploads of this town's theme, people actually mention how this particular track makes them reminisce on the good times they used to have while playing Pokemon X and Y. It's quite bittersweet when you remember that the game's servers no longer exist. The social aspect of the game is forever lost, but it's not forgotten. For those who played in its prime, I feel you. Somewhere on a Y cartridge in my house, there are a bunch of Pokemon I received through the many Wonder trades I used to do, and that is something I'll probably never be able to do again. I've thought about possibly just booting up the game once again, but personally, I wouldn't want to tamper with it, at least for the time being. Anyways, here's to Game Freak for leaving an impact on many childhoods. I hope that Pokemon Legends Z lives up to the hype.
Man, I'd love to talk about Banjo-Tooie's Hailfire Peak, but considering the ice side runs at like 12 frames per second, I'm only going to be just mentioning its existence. Now, luckily, Banjo-Kazooie, on the other hand, runs completely fine, and just so happens to feature one of the best levels in 3D platforming, that level being Free ZZ Peak. This Banjo-Kazooie level absolutely nails the winter theme, and I want to dedicate a little section here, just going over the different things you need to accomplish to attain a few of the Jiggies. Inside the pipe of the giant snowman is a Jiggy. To reach his pipe, either follow the path up to his scarf to the top, and use a shock pad to reach it, or simply fly up with one of the flight pads you can find in the level. The igloo next to the world entrance houses 3 of Boggy's children. Each child is wanting a present, and it's your job to find all 3. Once you receive the presents, a Jiggy will appear on the table. And of course, something as simple as just turning on a Christmas tree is somehow just a satisfying way to get a Jiggy. And when you go to Mumbo Skull, you can use the Mumbo transformation to transform into a walrus. You can challenge Boggy to a sled race for another Jiggy. And that just scratches the surface of this well-crafted level.
To me, Phendrana Drifts is the most memorable area in Metroid Prime. You're just not expecting it, and it is an amazing surprise, seeing as how this was the first ice area in the entire series. Sector 5 ARC from Metroid Fusion doesn't count. It's aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, from the opening snow plain, to the frosted caverns, and the snow-covered ancient ruins that litter the level. The theme also really adds to its atmosphere, giving you a nice sense of comfort, until you have a Sheegith trying to tear you into pieces. Every time I fire up a new playthrough of this game, this is the area I can't wait to get to. Snow Peak is the exact opposite to Phendrana Drifts. Instead of being calm and welcoming, it's harsh and uninviting. The blizzard at the beginning is almost like a sign that says turn back. When you make it through, it feels like this is a region of Hyrule that has been completely forgotten about. A land which you were never really meant to step foot in the first place. And the music perfectly encapsulates this. It's this somber, chilling theme that creates an atmosphere of a land lost to time. It's truly depressing.
A cold storm has taken over. Darmani and the Goron Elder wish things have gone differently, but unfortunately, they face a dark and cold reality. As Link, you adventure throughout the stormy wasteland, helping out the depressed and dying Gorons, until you eventually find what you are looking for. That being the lost but bargaining spirit of Darmani. The great warrior who just wasn't strong enough to defend his own people. After putting his soul to rest and gaining the Goron mask, there's only one thing you can do, and that's to save the Goron race and carry on Darmani's legacy. Enter Snowhead. It may not be some people's favorite dungeon, but I really like the unique layout of this temple. And much like other Zelda temples, you get a weird feeling of isolation, but an urge to explore. It may be simple, and falling is a bitch, but God is the GOAT. I don't know about you, but when it comes to mini dungeons in the Legend of Zelda series, the Ice Cavern has always been one of the greatest. Or maybe I'm just saying that because it's personally my favorite. As you can currently hear, the Ice Cavern has a nice but chilling theme. Heh, nice. And the puzzles here, while simple, also introduce some new form of puzzles, like the silver rupees you need to collect, and the blue fire that melts the ice. This is also the dungeon where you get the iron boots. And just look at the room where you fight the snow-covered Wolfos. It's just something else. The texture work here is crazy detailed. And this is the only room in the game that looks like this. So much love and care was put into the Ice Cavern. Then again, so much love and care was put into Ocarina of Time. So, yeah, that's the, video. I've never really done outros before, but hey, better late than never, right? I just want to thank everyone who was able to be involved with this project, despite the project being, well, done in a very short time frame. Obviously, there is many other levels that could have been mentioned here, but the holiday season doesn't last forever, and life has been busy enough as is. I do have more epic gamer videos like this planned for the near future, so don't expect another half-a-year gap for content like this. Anyway, I got some gooning to go back to, so Merry Christmas, broskins, and Happy New Year's.